It's very clear what's going on here. It is Elizabeth Warren, frankly, desperate to resuscitate her campaign. I mean, all you got to do, look at the numbers. This is the average of Iowa. Biden, Bernie, basically in the lead there. Buttigieg in third. Warren, distant fourth. Then you look at New Hampshire. Biden narrowly ahead. Sanders right behind. Warren in third. Buttigieg in fourth. Well, you're starting to see Bernie Sanders really just pulling in the left. It was a close call for a little while, but Bernie Sanders just got the endorsement of the local SEIU in New Hampshire, who went against the national union and said, we're endorsing Bernie Sanders. The national union did not want to endorse. Bernie Sanders has gotten key endorsements in Iowa among progressive groups. So what is Elizabeth Warren's play here? It is to pull a Hillary Clinton circa 2016. Cry sexism, cry Bernie bros, and you can't challenge Bernie Sanders on the issues. You can't challenge Bernie Sanders on policy because he is more progressive than you. So what are you going to do? You're going to throw sexism at him. And frankly, it is consistent with other reports that Elizabeth Warren was trying to save her campaign by wooing women. This is from Bloomberg. Democratic candidate Elizabeth Warren, who has seen her national lead dwindle on the eve of the Iowa caucuses, is turning back to a block of voters she once appeared to have locked up, women. She's putting high-profile women surrogates and activists on the front lines of her Iowa campaign, giving interviews to fashion magazines and trying to broaden her coalition beyond the white, educated progressives who formed the backbone of her support. The move shows an attempt to restore the bridge-building formulation that put her neck and neck with frontrunner Joe Biden just 3 months ago. Since then, she's lost her advantage among women, traded older voters for less reliably younger voters, and failed to make inroads among minority voters. So, frankly, I mean, we're going to get to Bernie Sanders' long history of supporting female candidates. Elizabeth Warren's, and I'm not saying this as a Bernie bro, I'm saying this as somebody who understands politics, has shown time and time again her political instincts are terrible. She came out and basically said, well, I didn't endorse Bernie in 2016 because I thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. So your political instincts were bad. She thought if she endorsed Bernie, that it would alienate the left. This is what was reported weeks ago. This is as to why Warren didn't endorse Bernie. So your political instincts are already shown to be terrible. So then she runs her campaign basically trying to have her cake and eat it too. I'm going to try and compete with Bernie for the progressive vote while playing footsie with the corporate Democratic establishment. How does that work? I'm going to go around the country having hot tea. This was reported in the New York Times. Having hot tea with a who's who of the Democratic Party establishment. I'm going to have phone calls and text messages. This was also reported with Hillary Clinton. I'm going to, kind of be in the middle. Like I'm going to cancel debt up to $50,000 with a lot of disclaimers under it. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but it's not going to go all the way. I'm with Bernie on Medicare for All until consultants and rich people tell me no to Medicare for All. Then I moonwalk faster than Michael Jackson. What happened when she moonwalked away from Medicare for All? Contrary to the corporate propaganda as to why Elizabeth Warren has fallen in the polls, it's because she showed she doesn't have true conviction. People like Trump, not because of policy, because he's a great marketer. He's obviously full of shit, but he knew how to market it. And he seemed like he had a spine. People like Bernie, Not everybody agrees 100% with Bernie, but they know they're consistent. There's a new era in politics, which social media and digital media has helped, where people actually know your record. They know whether you're being consistent. And if it looks like you have a public and private position, if it looks like you are going to flip-flop, then people are pushed away by that. So what's amazing to me is Elizabeth Warren, after all of these political missteps, now thinks the way to save her campaign, and I can't get in her head, but I assume she thinks that if she came out with this, she knew CNN would run with it because CNN is corporate propaganda. Literally, what CNN did is the equivalent of like if, I don't know, Nina Turner, Jeff Weaver, Fez Shakir, and name a fourth, told me that Elizabeth Warren said something in a private meeting with Bernie Sanders, and I then reported it with no other sources. That's not reporting. That is being a useful idiot for a political campaign. I would never report something that 4 sources from Bernie Sanders' campaign told me with no other sources. I love the people from Bernie Sanders' campaign. I don't think they would lie to me, but that's not journalism. I wasn't in the room, and I have Bernie Sanders people in that case would be telling me something, but how would I know? So CNN reports using 4 sources. This is high school gossip. Maybe Bernie Sanders said something about identity politics, which he has time and time again said he's not a fan of, and Elizabeth Warren took it that he was saying a woman can't win. Keyword took it. Not that he said it, but took it that way. And then Elizabeth Warren, she just made a molehill into a mountain, claiming that Bernie Sanders personally is sending his volunteers out to trash her, which is also not true, as I explained in the beginning of the live stream. To less than 24 hours, miraculously, details about a private conversation over a year old come out? Yeah, because Elizabeth Warren's campaign fed it to this useful idiot from CNN who just regurgitated it. And again, when the reporter says, I can't, Elizabeth Warren is the only one not to comment on the record, to me, that's a tell she's commented in a private conversation on background. Meaning, on background to a reporter, you could use what I'm telling you, no fingerprints on me. Which, by the way, I've done it often. When I've used, that's how you report. You either trust the source or you don't. The source might, I have sources in particular when it comes to Flint that I've been using for years and have never steered me wrong. Then I have sources that did steer me wrong based on them misunderstanding something, and I've been burned, and I've had to correct that. That's just journalism. But what they did here was just make something up because she's realizing the progressive base. CNN in these places consistently made it seem like they're appealing for the same voters. No, they were never appealing for the same voters. That's why I have been saying for weeks and months, and maybe Bernie's campaign is suddenly listening, take off the gloves, not against Warren, against Biden. Biden has more voters that might cross over to Bernie Sanders than Warren does. A lot of Biden's voters make $50,000 or less. A lot of Biden's voters only have high school degrees. And by the way, it doesn't make Elizabeth Warren supporters Satan. It's not bad if you have a master's degree. It's not bad if you make over $100,000 a year. There's plenty of people with education and advanced degrees that support progressive policies. What Bernie's campaign and what journalists and what political activists are saying, it's not a matter of whether it's bad and it makes you a bad person to have an advanced degree. Of course it doesn't. It's about beating Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton, her main lack of support was among working class people. People making $50,000 or less. People with only high school degrees. By the way, the majority of the country, that's the majority of the country only have high school degrees. So this script, which wasn't even an official Bernie Sanders campaign document, is basically saying she has too narrow support, which the data shows. A Quinnipiac poll, by the way, just came out today showing Elizabeth Warren does 25% better among people with college degrees and people making, I think, over $100,000 a year. That's just the data. It's the facts. It's not an attack on those people. It's just that's not going to beat Donald Trump. But I got to tell you something. I mean, when your campaign clearly and basically clumsily, I don't know if like Elizabeth Warren's campaign thought they were just going to like plant this and it wouldn't be so apparent that it was them doing it. It's obvious it was them. Anyone with a brain knows it. Did you see the clip I showed you? Jake Tapper was smirking like a little child. And then they say, so they invent the story out of thin air, and then they say the alleged story, and then Jake Tapper asks the guest, do you think he said it? Well, if you have to ask your guest, do you think this is true? Why are you reporting it if you don't think it's true? Why are you reporting it if you don't know this is what is said? How would you know it was said? You don't have people other than from Elizabeth Warren's campaign saying it. Wouldn't you say, wow, that would be terrible if this was said, but I really have to find some other source? Do you know how many things I've been told by political campaigns or, let's say, a Flint resident or this and that in my mind I feel might be true, but I have no way to verify it, so I don't report it? Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.